Hey guys, I am going to show you today how to make this character very colorful based on what you see on my screen here. So we're going to take this and we're going to um, add some color to it based off of the original image. So this is after I've made all of my changes. So I'm going to walk you through the process. All right, so first thing you want to do in Cricut Design Space is you want to upload your image to Cricut Design Space. So this is an image that I got from Designs by Amara. Um, and so I already have the image on my computer, but I'm going to show you what I do to get it into Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to click on Upload Image and then Browse. And I'm going to look at my Downloads folder. And here we have the Bundle 9 Afro folder. And I'm going to take this Afro Betty 4 and just double click on it. And this is the character or the image that I'm going to be working with. And you're going to bring it in as an SVG file. Okay, and you're going to hit open. And it's going to bring it in. You can name it. I'm going to leave it as Afro Betty 4. And then you're going to save. All right, so now we have it successfully uploaded into Cricut Design Space. You're going to go ahead and select the image. And on the right-hand side, you're going to select Insert Images. It's going to come in very large. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our lock right up under Untitled. We're going to click that lock. And I'm just going to change this to a 4 in width. And then I'm just going to give it about a 5 in height. See what that looks like. A little bit too thick for me, so what I'm going to do is just kind of drag it down to make her look a little bit more proportioned. Now there is a way to do height and width proportion, but I'm just going to drag her out. All right, so the first thing you want to do is when you're going to be working with an image that does not have the layers on the right hand side of your screen, as you can see here, there are no layers to this image here. So what you have to do is you have to use contour. So when I click on the image, there's going to be this contour button here in the bottom right corner. You don't immediately click on the image and then go to contour. What you have to determine is how many colors do you want to work with. So like if you say, well, I want the shoes to be one color, and then I want, her lips to be a different color and, her body to be a different color, then you're going to have to account for a contour for, or excuse me, a image for each one of those different layers or different components. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click on her and say duplicate. And then I'm going to drag that over to the right here. Then I'm going to right click again and duplicate. And I'm just going to give myself just a couple of duplicates here to kind of work with, because I change my mind like I change my clothes a little bit more frequently. All right, so I'm going to put a couple of them on here. And I may not use them all, but it's better to have too many than not to have enough. So I have a total of 7 of them on my screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the first one and I'm going to go to contour. And when you go to contour, the very first thing you want to do is if your image fits within the little box here, then you're good to go. You don't have to worry about increasing or decreasing the size. Everything is right there where we can see it. And then on the right-hand side of your high contour screen, you're going to have all the different layers that would normally be on the very first screen here on the right-hand side. But they're not, so you have to use them via contour. So what we want to do is the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to this little box right here and select Hide All Contours. And what it's going to do, it's going to hide everything except for the very first part of the image. So we're going to hide contour. And then you're going to see everything has been deselected except for this very first one. So it's always going to leave that very first one on there when you select hide all contours because something has to still be displayed. Okay. So what I'm going to do is working with that, I'm just going to click off of it for a minute. There is no save functionality here by clicking on save or submit. Once you make your selection and click on the X, it is saved. So now you can see that that leaves everything in black, okay? So there are some components that you can actually remove, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. So the very first thing, I'm gonna go back to that image. I just wanted you to see how it's gonna look with just the main image selected and left with the contour. So we're gonna go back to contour. And what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start um, just clicking some things here just to show you what it's going to look like so you can get a feel for when you're utilizing contour. So this is her face right here. So if I click that, it's going to put her face back into the equation. So I'm going to hit X just so you can see here. And so it puts the face in, but not as far as, you know, like the color that we're going to be utilizing. So if I were to move, if I were to click the face part, excuse me, if I were to change the color of this to brown, everything would change except for the inside of the face. Okay. And so that gives you a good outline of where the face should be. Okay. So I'm going to leave that there because that tells me where the face should be. Now I'm going to go back and I just changed it to brown just to show you here, but I'm going to change it back to black. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to contour. I have the image selected and I'm going to deselect some other things to help me to figure out where some things are supposed to go. So this is a part of her arm and you'll see when I click it here. So if I click it, it deselects it here. Okay, so you can actually see your work. I'm just going to start deselecting some of the things that I want to make different colors. Okay, and I'm going to deselect the shoes. And again, you can see what I'm deselecting because it's going to go super light. The darker shade gray means it's been selected to stay in the picture. So if I were to click on the X now, you'll be able to see what I have. Now, the reason it's white is because I want it to give me an outline when I get ready to move the arm over from one of these other images. Then I want to be able to see where that arm is supposed to go. I want to be able to see where that shoe is supposed to go. Okay, so I'm just going to go in and continue deselecting so I can get more white so that I'll know, I'll kind of have an outline for where I want to place things. Okay. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to select the shoe. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and select the thigh here and her leg. And I'm going to deselect here. And then we're going to deselect where this eyebrow should go. A little lash. So all I'm doing is deselecting certain things so that when I place them, I'll have kind of like an outline of where they're supposed to actually be. All right, so let's see what we got so far. All right, so now we know where exactly the leg part will go here. And That's all the white that's coming back in, but don't worry, don't fret, because when we move our images over here, we'll know where they're supposed to go. And I like to have it this way, guys, because otherwise you'll end up with the face looking like the nose isn't really where it's supposed to go. So the first part takes a minute, but once we get this first part underway, then we're going to be good to go. And I think I selected off of her shoe by accident, so I'm going to go back and deselect that shoe because I do want it to be white. All right, so now I'm going to look for the other part of her leg here. So we got the lips, we want the nose taken out, and what is this right here? Okay, that's a part of the eyebrow. We got the nose, we got the shoes. Anything dark gray is an indication that I have removed it. And I want to take that out. I want to take out her arm and her chest. And then I think I'm going to pretty much leave everything else. I think I got an eyebrow that I haven't clicked yet. So let me find the top part of that eyebrow, which is here. And now we're going to exit. All right, so we have a good indication of where everything is supposed to go. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start bringing in different colors, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to get her face and her arm, the chest area, and you want to make sure you get that little snippet of the right arm, or excuse me, the left arm, and then the thigh. So that's what I'm going to be working with now. So I'm going to select the second image and go back to contour. And this one is going to be a lot easier. So I'm going to hide all contours, very first thing. And now I'm going to go over and select her face, her arm, her chest, her arm, and the thigh. Those are the parts that I want. And then I'm going to select off of her. Make sure that you always select off of the first part of the image after you've selected everything else. Okay, so now I'm going to turn that brown. Okay, so now when I move this over, I know exactly where it's supposed to go based off of where I left the white part, okay? Now, the other thing is I can move this back over and I can actually add back in the eyes here so that I'll have a place setting for the eye, because once you put the face here, then you won't be able to see it on the back side, okay? So I'm going to move this back over and I'm going to go and grab the facial part where the nose and eye and all that stuff is supposed to go. Okay. So I'm going to get all the little facial features. Deselected here. And this is going to tell me exactly where these components are supposed to go. And that one's already selected. I want to get the nose there, the eyebrow. I think I have everything, and then the lips. So this is a little bit time consuming, but it's well worth it when you see the outcome. Okay, that's the face. Here they go. Here's the lips. All right, we're going to X. And now we have everywhere the eyepieces and the lip and the nose and all that good stuff is supposed to go. We can see it from here. Okay, there we go. All right, so the next thing is I'm going to go and I'm going to take this part of the dress. Everything else I'm going to, um, I think I had the dress and the shoes red. This little part right here, I'm going to make red, and then the shoes are going to be red. So I'm going to keep this part and then the shoes. So I'm going to go ahead and select her and contour and the lips. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is click on Hide All Contours, and you want to go ahead and select the lips. Let's see if I'm going to be able to get them. There we go. And then the little dress area here. I'm going to take as much of that as we can get. Got a little garter thing going on right there. See if I can get it on both. And then the shoes. I'm going to select that. And I think I have it all. I think I'm going to make this little thing right here red if I can. May not be able to. Okay. There we go. All right, so we got our shoes. We got a little bit of the garter right here. That part we're not going to be able to change, I don't believe. Let me just look and see if I see anything that looks close to it, because it may be a part of the full body. Let's see if this is it. Nope, that's her leg. So we don't want that. That is her eyebrow. Okay, so that little part I'm not going to be able to get. But when you go back, make sure you select that first part of the image, because you don't want that. So now you can see everything that is dark gray is what we're keeping. Okay, so we're now going to change all that to red, this deep dark ruby red, and then we're going to move it over. Now, one of the things I want to point out, guys, is that the reason that you go ahead and duplicate this image as many times as you think you're going to need it is because you do not want to change the sizing after you have started to contour. Because if you do, then you're not going to be able to get it back. The sizing is going to be all off from your image. Okay, so notice that there's a little bit of white here. So what I'm going to do is come over. I'm trying to make sure I don't mess up her lips. There we go. So now we have all of that in there. We have her lips red. The only thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually place a circle, because I want that part of the eye to be white. And the eye is not separate. Let me just double check it. I don't think that eye is separate. I think it's a part of that full piece right there, but we're going to take a look and see. So the very first thing, always hide all contours. And then let's look for the eye piece. So see, it's like the whole thing here. And there's no separate part for the white part of the eye. Let's see what this is. That's a little piece, but I think that's, we'll see. I'm going to take it and just see what happens. But the other part of the white, I can't click on because it's a part of the full eye. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that little piece of eye that I clicked on, and I don't want that. And then make sure you click off the very first part. Always make that the last thing you do, because if you don't, you're going to keep having that part in your picture, and you don't want that. All right, so now we have a little piece of white here, or a black that we can change to white. We're going to see what that will look like. So I'm just going to bring that over here. So that gives us a little bit of the white. but I want more. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a shape and I'm going to take a circle, and then I'm going to use this arrow to decrease the size here, and then I'm going to make it white. Now I'm going to have to play around with this a little bit because what I'm trying to do is to get this to fit inside the black part, and sometimes it don't want to cooperate with me, but I will get it here. Let me see. Move backwards. I'm going to duplicate a little part of that eye and see if I can get it. Or better yet, I'm going to see if I stretch it a little bit, what that will look like. So I'm just going to unlock it. So I'm playing around with the eye, guys, to try to get it as much white as I can without having to use the circle, because the circle is going to give me a little bit of a headache. And I've already worked today. So I'm just going to stretch out that little white piece that was in there. And there we have it. Instead of, I used a circle when I did it the first time, but I think it's easier to just stretch out that last little piece. All right, so there we have it. There is our full Betty Boop. And what you want to do is, I'm going to move these over so that they don't get selected here. But I'm just going to look and make sure everything looks good, and it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight her, and then I'm going to click on Group. And then if you want this as a cut project, I would highly recommend that you use registration marks. And I actually have a tutorial on my YouTube channel that tells you how to use layering. So you would have to go to it to understand layering. I don't want to make this video extra long with talking about layering. But if you want to make it as a cut and print, where you just print it out and then cut around the outer edge, then you want to come down to the bottom and select flatten. And let's see, why did it give me these little lines here? Let's go back one here. That just means that I have something kind of off. And so let me ungroup for just a second and see what's going on. So I just want to make sure I have everything lined up so that that doesn't happen. Okay, so let's now go back and I'm going to move Betty Boop up to the top. And then let's see what we get here. It's going to highlight her and group and then flatten. So I still have something a little bit off because it still gave me a little bit of white here. So I'm going to ungroup it again. I mean unflatten. And click her again and ungroup. And I'm just going to make sure that I bring something else up that is throwing me off. I think it's this. All I'm doing is just changing around the layout so that when I group and flatten, it doesn't show any white. So we want to make sure that we have it layered appropriately. So I'm going to shift it using my cursor here. Now this is the hardest part. That's why you have to make sure the sizing is appropriate. It's like every time I get it, my hand moves. So you might have better luck than me, guys, if you have a steady hand. I do not. Just a little shift up. All right. Let me try to get it. And that's almost, but not quite. Still got a little bit of white in there. Let's see what we get when we group it. We're going to group and flatten. Still got a little white in there. If I don't get it this time, I'm going to show you an easier way. So let's see here. I'm going to ungroup it. You may not have as much trouble as I am having, guys, but I don't have a steady hand. Come on, little bitty boopy. All right. I'm going to bring her over, and then I'm going to, it's like when you move it all the way out and bring her back, my hand seems to want to cooperate. Okay. Here we go. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, so I'm going to show you guys an easier way. Let me just get it back to where I had it, because my hand is not going to cooperate. I can see that now. All right, so I'm just going to undo until I get her back to where I had her. So give me just 1 second here. And you guys are going to say, well, why didn't you show us that the first time? And it's probably because a lot of people don't have access to what I'm about to show you. But this is going to be the best solution for me right now, because I want this video not to be 2 hours of you guys watching me trying to line her up. So all I'm doing is just clicking undo so I can get her back to the stage that I had her, because my hand is not going to cooperate. Almost. Okay, tired of clicking undo. Gosh, it's like I get it, and then my hand moves, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm old now. I don't have a stable hand like I used to. Okay. All right, I have no choice but to keep going undo, undo, undo. So you guys just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and delete these off my screen because I no longer need them. And I'm going to show you the easiest way without having to, I'm just going to keep clicking undo until it just moves. All right. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete these because I don't need them. And then what I'm going to do is on my keyboard, I have a print screen. I'm going to hit print screen, and it's going to give me the ability to select an area of my screen. You see this little window pops up. So what I'm going to do is just click on the left side of my mouse, and I'm going to drag it down. And it's going to take a picture of the Betty Boop. And what I'm going to do is just go to my Microsoft PowerPoint, and I'm going to say right click and paste. And this is her here. And what I'm going to do is just save this as a picture to my desktop. So I'm just going to save it, and this time I'm going to put it as test 1, 2, 3. That way I'll be able to find it easy. Test 1, 2, 3, 4 on my desktop and save. Now I'm going to go back to Cricut Design Space and upload image, browse, and desktop. And there it is, open. And I'm going to select complex, continue. And I'm going to just click this white space. Make sure I got all the white space out and hit continue. And then I'm going to select the image on the left and close it. And wada boom, bada bang. There she is. Okay, so now it is a cut and print, and I didn't have to worry about the fact that when I click on flatten, it gave me all that white. Okay, so that's one of the ways that you can get it just by doing a snippet. If you have Snagit on your computer, you can snag it. If you don't have Snagit, then you have a snipping tool. You can go down and just hit snip. And you can use the snipping tool, which is the same thing that I brought up when I hit the print screen on my keyboard. But the snipping tool will come up and will also allow you to take a snapshot. So same difference. The only thing is, for some reason in Cricut Design Space, sometimes it will act right when you group it and flatten. Other times it's going to leave the white space, but you can see that there's a way around it. You just have to save it outside of Cricut Design Space, re-upload it, and then remove the white space. So there she is, full cut and print. And, you know, I would say save the one that you were working with. You know, save this project by going here at the top right here and selecting save. And that way, if you wanted to come in and change anything about the image, all you have to do is just go down and get it back to where it's not all flattened and grouped together. So you can ungroup it. And then let's say you wanted to, for whatever reasons, what I'm going to do is hide her. And I'm not going to worry about that part, but I'm going to click the little skirt here, and I'm going to change it to a different color. Let's go yellow. So if you wanted to make any changes, it's just as simple as making the little change that you wanted to make and then re-snipping that image. I wouldn't go through the hassle of trying to, you know, get it all together where you can do a group and flatten from here, because you can see everything is perfect. And when we highlight it and group it and click on that flatten to make it a cut and print, you see how we didn't have those issues. So it's something within Cricut Design Space. Sometimes it will do perfectly, and then sometimes it put the white lines in. It won't allow you to get it, you know, lined back up properly. But you guys just saw me walk through it with no problem. Okay, so if you have issues, at least I just showed you a way around it. But you know, you do have a little bit of white in here, but it's not as noticeable with that yellow. But that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So I wanted to jump on, guys, and just show you how to do that. You know, you could go in and you can take this image and flip it horizontal, and, you know, have one in red and one in a different color. you know, put them on your mugs, a t-shirt, what have you. Sublimation would be beautiful for this because you don't have to worry about any layering or anything like that. You just print it out and sub it onto whatever you want to put it on. All right, guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns about this process, this is taking an SVG image and using contour in Cricut Design Space to change the color on that particular image. All right. And again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about how to do this, then feel free to reach out to me. If you're currently in my Facebook group, Candora's Cricut and Creative Crafters, thank you guys so much for being a part of my Facebook group. Please tell others about the group so that they can join us as well. And if you're currently subscribed to my YouTube channel, then thank you guys for being currently subscribed to my YouTube channel. And if not, and you're seeing me for the first time and you like my tutorials, then please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also click that bell notification in the top right-hand corner so you'll be made aware anytime I upload a tutorial to YouTube. All right, guys, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And as always, my motto is each one reach one so that each one can teach one. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day.